Hello, welcome to Real Reds Talk. My name is Sam. How are we all doing on this fine? It's Thursday, isn't it? Jesus Christ, almost the end of the week. I'm joined along with Nick and Shreyas. I did try and think of some nicknames again, but my brain's just not with it today, so I couldn't come. So you just get a normal intro. I'm sorry. How you doing, lads?
Yeah, really, really good. As you said, I forgot myself. It's Thursday, so getting towards the end of the week. I go Tenerife on Sunday. United are playing on Saturday, and I have a whiskey tonight on the 10 bag stream. So yeah, doing really well. Thank you. How are you, Sam?
I'm all right, mate. It's like you said, another end to the week. Sorry, I was just checking our stream was all right. Just chilling out. Nice, relaxing weekend to go. Very jealous that you get to go on holiday, but hopefully I get to do the same in September. Shreyas, mate, how's it going? Is it still 45 degrees in India?
I mean, no, it's better. I think it's 31 degrees out, so it's very pleasant.
That's pleasant, is it? 31 degrees.
Up for me,
That's mega hot, mate.
Yeah.
So many British people would be complaining about that. Honest to God, mate. No idea. Anyways, we're here to talk about a couple of transfer rumours. Obviously, you've probably seen in the news and Twitter and social media because it's non-stop transfer mills at the moment. There's a couple of big, I'd say big, but it's not like Frankie de Jong big, because obviously that's the biggest deal we've got going on at the minute. But God knows what's happening with that, because every day it just seems to go, he's not coming, he is coming, he's not coming. So we're not here to talk about that because we might be here for the next hour. There's a couple of guys, Youri Tielemans and Antony from Ajax. They were the two sort of rumours that were going on. I'm just going to bring up the Tielemans thing because I did forget. Unless one of you knows it off the top of your dome.
I don't, but look, let's be honest, there's numerous sources that have been reported.
All right, here we go. United's interest in Youri Tielemans is growing, who will be a cheaper alternative to De Jong, and they might jump in the race with him for Arsenal. So, obviously, Arsenal have been the ones that have been touted with Youri Tielemans recently. They've been like, they want him. Leicester want to sell. He's in the last year of his contract, but it just doesn't seem to be happening for some reason. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they kept not agreeing personal terms. I don't know if Leicester want a certain amount of money and Arsenal not willing to pay it. But both teams seem to want the same thing, but it just doesn't seem to be moving, which is weird because he's a very talented midfielder. And we've seen Manchester United for the last couple of transfers, especially like Terrell Malacia, Lisandro Martinez. We've gone in and snatched them from another team. Lisandro Martinez actually from Arsenal. And we've gone in and snatched it and bid more and took the transfer away from the other team. Who was it Malacia was going to?
Leon.
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 So we snatched him from Leon as well. So we have a history. It seems to be a new transfer sort of strategy we seem to be doing at the moment. Nick, just your thoughts on do you think there's any truth to this rumour that United would be interested in Tielemans if De Jong doesn't work out? And the other side is it, would you want and would be happy with De Jong in your team?
Do you mean Tielemans?
Tielemans, yeah. Sorry. De Jong's on my brain. It's fucking done.
He's not everyone's brains, let's be honest. So, yeah, first of all, Tielemans, a wonderful player. He obviously scored that banger against us last season, didn't he? When Maguire fumbled the ball, got intercepted by Iheanacho, and then Tielemans scored an absolute worlder. So he always seems to do well against us, which isn't nice, but you can respect it as a player. Yeah. I see him fit in Arsenal more, if I'm being completely honest, the way Arsenal play. And I think he'd be a good player for any of the top teams, to be honest. I think he could get in most teams. I just think of how bad Ten Hag wants De Jong because of the system. He's literally come out, he did an interview with Melissa Reddy, I think her name is. She's taken over. She's taken over from James Cooper now, who used to do Manchester United. She's like our kind of correspondent. So she's done an interview with Eric Ten Hag, and he was saying there's only one person who can cope with this system, who can, deliver, and basically saying it's De Jong. So I'd be worried if we can't get De Jong. Who else is it going to be? I don't think Tielemans will bring that level that De Jong will. I think he's just a level below, in my personal opinion. But there's not many out there at the minute for Tielemans' price. You're talking like, 25, 30 million, who you can go get for a season. You ask about Neves, the coach is saying fucking 100 million. Like, how much realistically are they going to want? Are they going to, even if you're not 50 million off that, it's still double the price of what Tielemans is.
Well,
so,
it was.
yeah.
I was talking about in the chat today. Cucurella, City bid 30 mil for him, and Brighton turned down and said they want 50. And I mean, he's a good player, but he's not worth 50 million pound. Like, he isn't. Like that. He's worth 30 million less than Van Dijk, or like 20. Like, come on. Like, let's not play around.
I just think Maguire's opened the doors for that as well. Transfers like Neymar's has opened the doors for that. They can Grealish for 100 million. Like, it's just, they're throwing ridiculous price tags on him now. But Youri Tielemans, 25 million is really good. I'd rather have Tielemans and De Jong. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just one of them.
I want £2 million, mate, but it's not going to happen, is it?
In dreamland, aren't we?
Yeah. Shreyas, just your thoughts on Tielemans. Do you think, if we did bid for him, do you think it'd cost quite a bit, even though he is in the last year of his contract? Because Leicester are famous for sort of milking the price, aren't they, for all their players? Like, let's face it, Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, for example. They get the money that they want for their players, no matter what. And do you think he could end up being an expensive option?
I don't think that he'll cost us any more than what De Jong would. And secondly, I think he just got 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah.
So I think the Leicester would be, looking to get as much money as they can from him, because I still remember that before the transfer window opened, there was a lot of interest in Youri Tielemans from Arsenal's side, and they're still in the running for him, but they're trying to cut down on the price, because they still know that this player does want to leave that club, and potentially he would come to us. So maybe if they drag the deal out, then they could pay at least, I would say, 5 or 10 million less. But based on his performances and based on the state of his contract, I would still say that if United do go in for him and get him for like 35 or 40 million, I still think that that's a good transfer, because he is proven in the Premier League. He definitely is a quality player. He brings something completely different to the table as to what our other central midfielders offer us. So we'll have variety in the midfield for once. But of course, in a Ten Hag system, we do need someone who is able to pass the ball around really, really well, who is able to absorb pressure and then break passing lines through simple and quick touches. I don't see him being that kind of a player. I do see him as a player who obviously does like to press. He likes to create pressure on his own, but he doesn't like to, break passing lines. He's one of those players who likes to drive the ball forward more, because I think when you look at Frenkie de Jong, he's like a passing maestro in a central midfield. If the way I see Youri Tielemans, he is a good. He has a good shot on him, and except that I do see him more as an engine rather than a passing maestro.
He's a Fred type player, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's that kind of player.
Yeah, just
careful.
No offense to him. No offense to him.
Yeah, Tielemans is like, what the fuck, man?
Youri, I don't mean like I just meant in terms of work ability and rate. I don't mean in terms of I don't mean your shooting ability is any worse than Fred's, because let's face it.
I do think that if Ten Hag does get him into the squad, he could be really, really useful, because he does like to press a lot, especially in that Leicester lineup where he plays alongside NDT. He presses a lot, and if we are able to get someone like a Tielemans for 35 million, and then you have to compare it with someone like a Frenkie de Jong, who we would get, I would still say, for at least about 80 to 85 million, and that's a condition where the player actually doesn't want to come to Manchester United in the first place.
Yeah.
So if Youri Tielemans is actually willing to take a spot at United, we still save 60 million potentially. If we go in for Tielemans, we can save that 60 million and go for Antony as well. And I would still say that Antony as well as Tielemans, they are both they're looking forward to leaving their club. They do want to move clubs, and especially Antony, he does want to come to Manchester United.
We'll get on to Antony in a minute, but just sort of focus on Tielemans for now.
And And with Tielemans, I think he's just looking for a step up right now because he's been Leicester for about, I think, 3 years or more than that now.
Yeah.
And he's definitely, looking to move to the one of the top 6 squads. And if you have to compare it to the lineups that are pretty much there, if you look at Tottenham, they've got their midfield sorted. They've pretty much, gotten Bissouma as well now for a bargain deal, so their midfield is sorted. Then when you look at Liverpool, their midfield is pretty much sorted out as well. Manchester City have a fantastic midfield at the moment.
They've got two fantastic midfields, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. And with Chelsea as well, they've got, I would say, they've got a good mix of experience as well as, youngsters with Mason Mount and then Conte and Kovacic and Jorginho being in there as well. So it's a good mix.
Nick's favourite player, Kovacic. Very underrated.
And which pretty much just leaves Man United and Arsenal in the running, because these are the two clubs where I would still say, that central midfield spot is still not taken. So for Tielemans, I would say if he does want to, stay in the Premier League, there are just 2 options for him to actually move to.
Yeah.
And if we, I think if we, go in for Tielemans for I would say even after a week, we could still get him for a good price. If it is below 40 million, I would, go for it blindly, because getting a Premier League proven player of such high quality for such a low price, I think it would be a really, really fantastic deal. But still, I think another fact would be that.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and I think another fact would be that Tielemans will at least have some time to actually get himself involved with the squad before the season starts, before the first game he would be coming in. With Frenkie de Jong, I still feel that if he does end up coming at Man United, I think he'll still miss the first 2 games or so.
I did see Ten Hag did say he wants to continue his pursuit for Frenkie de Jong even if the season's already started. Because I know the transfer is 2nd of September. It's open till, isn't it? That's when it closes. Yeah. So I know he wants to continue that pursuit beyond when the season starts, which isn't ideal. But like you mentioned, with Tielemans, he could start before that. Shout out to Ashley Diallo in the chat. Nice to see you, mate. Always good to see you around the
Where's
chat.
Nick Nack at?
Yeah, where's Nick Nack? Get him back in the chat. Get him back.
Get him in the chat. He or she. I'm not sure if it's he or she.
Yeah.
Get him or her back in the chat.
Get them back in the chat. Nick, just on the last bit on Youri Tielemans, then we'll move on. If he is available for, like you said, under 40 million and then De Jong doesn't come, does that mean we need to then go and get another midfielder? Or do you think it's De Jong? If we don't get De Jong, it's Tielemans? Like, do you think we need another person if we don't sign De Jong?
It really doesn't make sense to me why we haven't even gone in for him. For £25 million, Youri Tielemans is a class player. Honestly, I watched him all last season, and he's really, really. If you would have told me before the season, obviously a lot of people knew he was kind of coming into the last year of his contract or whatever. But if you would have said to me, Youri Tielemans, 25 million, I would have absolutely bit your hand off. I'm surprised no one's even put a bid in for him. It's crazy because I've seen quite a few people saying he's had injuries and stuff. He hasn't even had that many injuries. No. Look at his injury record. It's not been too many. I think he got 6 goals, 4 assists. Last season, playing as a box-to-box, really good on the ball, good at putting pressure on a player, could fit in Ten Hag's system. So I don't get why they wouldn't get both, unless they're waiting until the end to see what happens with Antony. I know we're going to touch on Antony in a second. Maybe they're waiting until see what happens with that. If we can't get Antony, maybe they'll go make a deal like that happen, because we definitely need more options in that midfield.
Do you think it's a case of he wants De Jong, that's his key jigsaw piece?
Yeah, that's his main piece of the puzzle.
There's no point in going for Tielemans or whoever, because if he doesn't get De Jong, he's going to have to change the way his midfield, his system plays.
The issue lies with that, Sam, is because we've seen what happened with the rest of the deals. It has a knock-on effect in terms of valuation, how much we're going to pay for set player. The longer it leaves, if you leave it till the end of the window and then say to Leicester, right, we want him for 25 million, you're going to go, no, you've had all summer to think about this.
We can't replace him.
Yeah, we've got to get a fucking replacement in. So what do you want us to do about that? You want us to go rushing about like headless chickens trying to find a signing for ourselves of the similar quality, not just any player. Like Tielemans would be hard to replace, especially in the market in a minute. So I really think we should get both. I would probably, I've said this on record before, I would rather get 2 midfielders than an attacker as well, like a winger. That's just my personal preference, because that midfield is thin.
Not a striker.
No. Honestly, I wouldn't. I'd rather. I just think the midfield's worse off. Then you've got
sure.
Martial. Yeah, like it's the worst. It's the worst position on the pitch. 100%.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing the back line now. You've got Dallo looks good, Malacia looks good, and then you've got Varane and Lisandro who can play there. So defence, not to worry about. You've got De Gea there as well. Up front, you see now Sancho, Martial, Rashford are playing together, look really exciting. And then you've got youngsters behind them with a lot of potential. Then you go to the midfield and you're like, you've got Eriksen and Bruno in the 10 who can kind of revert there. You've got competition.
You've got Donny.
You've got fucking Scott and Fred, hell, man.
Like Fred, like we do slag Fred off a lot, which mostly it's for jokes because he's so, like I've said famously on a clip, he's a bipolar player. Like you just don't know the sort of performance. He could play two different performances in one game. That's Fred in a nutshell. I think we've discussed yesterday and the day before about Scott McTominay. We just don't think he's good enough. So that leaves you with Donny van de Beek, who at this point in his United career hasn't pulled up trees, hasn't done massive amounts. Obviously, he's not had the opportunity as much as Scott McTominay has, as Fred has, as that they've had game in, game out opportunities and they haven't leveled up. Donny hasn't had that. But to trust your entire midfield sort of creativity and midfield sort of drive to Donny van de Beek, who didn't do that well for us previously, had bit parts to play, and then went to Everton on loan, it's a risky thing. And like you said, we do need... I would love to see us get Jong and then somebody else in midfield. But let
me throw a hypothetical to you, Sam, and Shreyas. Say you put Scott McTominay on the mark. I know United would never ever do it, right? But say you can at least get 20 million for Scott McTominay, right? Surely. Yeah. 25 years old, Premier League proven. I use that very lightly, but for a team in the bottom half of the table, I think he'd do a really good job. Like I said, Southampton, Palace, whoever, I think he'd be a starter for them. So you could easily get 20 mil for him. Why, if you had, a smart people running the club who could do the job, you would get 20 million, 25 million for Scott McTominay and then go buy Youri Tielemans. Problem solved.
Well, why haven't we sold Phil Jones? Why have we not sold him? Why have we not sold?
You get rid of their wages alone and combine it, you could probably fucking afford it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just smart businessmen. We don't do smart business. We never have. Or we haven't for a while, should I say?
Eric Bailly. I love Eric Bailly, but you could get 15 million for him. 15, 20
Well, look what we sold. We sold Andreas Pereira for 9 mil with 3 mil add-ons, right?
Yeah.
That paid for Malacia.
Yeah.
So why can't we do that with Tielemans? Sell McTominay. He's not going to be a player under... I don't think at all he's going to be a player under Ten Hag. I don't think he's going to flourish in that system. So he's at best going to be a squad player. You bring Tielemans in, he brings that level of quality right up. So that's what I'd do. But yeah, it's United, isn't it? So
yeah. Should we move on to Antony? Let's talk about Antony. George, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name here. Gbormoi. Jesus Christ. Gaborme? I don't know. I'm sorry,
Jesus
mate.
Christ, his second name.
I'm so sorry about your last name. I'm not going to pronounce it because I'll just ruin it. It says Manchester United's signing of Antony is the best alternative for now. So let's let manager Erik ten Hag demand his transfer to Manchester United so the team will have depth. And then Kingston, Antony will be the best winger once signed. Let the manager sign him without hesitation. So speaking of Antony, I'm just going to get the sort of article up because I did have it saved on my phone.
While Sam's doing that, hit that subscribe button and like the video, please.
And as you see on a lovely new graphic that we got made, you see all below me, it's got our TikTok, our Twitch, our Twitter, our Instagram. You see all of that? Go follow all those bad boys right there. Appreciate it. Antony. This was in the MEN via Stephen Railston. This is on Ajax. Ajax confirmed plan to sign Antony's successor amid Manchester United transfer interest. According to a report in Manchester Evening News, Antony is admired by Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag. Ajax are on the brink of signing a replacement for the Brazilian winger. Ajax technical manager Jerry Hamstra commented on the impending arrival of Francesco Conceição. I bet I've butchered that as well.
It is what it is.
On the one hand, you have immediately deployable players if you lose Champions League worthy players, but Ajax will also continue to think about long term. How fast that happens depends on several factors. So it seems like they're preparing to lose Antony. Maybe not this window, but maybe soon, if not this window, as they've already brought in a replacement. And they've mentioned it in the quote. He's here to replace Antony long term. So he's not just gone, oh, we've got this new player, but he's mentioned Antony by name to say this is his replacement, which makes you think he's resigned to having him go and disappear him. Obviously, United were quoted, I think it was 70 million. Is that euros or pounds? We were quoted 70 million.
Oh, fuck knows at this point.
So confusing at this point. 70 million something, euros or pounds.
Yeah.
And apparently that price United out, they were like, we're not willing to pay that amount of money for him because that's Sancho level money, and Antony, great player. Don't think he's at Sancho
level below in it.
Yet. So 70 million is a bit out of price point. But if they've just bought in a replacement, that could play to United's advantage. They could be like, well, look, we want to take him off your hands. You've brought in your replacement. You've said it already. If you give us a discount or knock some money off the price, we'll take Antony. That means you get money in your pocket. You've got your replacement ready to go. You're in a profit position there because I don't know how much you spent on this, Francisco. I imagine it's not that much because Ajax don't spend big money on big players, do they? So,
probably about 5 million.
Something like that. If they get 50 mil for Antony, for argument's sake, you've got a £45 million profit and you've got your brand new player ready to go. So it seems like a win-win for everybody, really. But yeah, Nick, what are your thoughts on the sort of article and the quote? Is anything new to this story? Do you think that means United will come back in, or do you think it's just sort of like a story?
I said since June that I don't think this Antony deal will get over the line because I'll tell you what, if I was an Ajax fan, I'd be fucking gutted because their team have just been.
I'd be furious. I'd be fucking furious.
You've got the striker, obviously. It's bad news what's happened to Haller, but they've had the striker taken off him by Dortmund. So that's like the best goal scorer in the Champions League for it. I don't know if he finished with that record. I think he was a bit behind Lewandowski.
I think he was near the top though, wasn't he?
It was near the top. Yeah. He had like 11 goals, something like that, right? Then they had the most promising midfielder in Gravenbach leave. They had a really good right back in Mazraoui leave. Yeah. Lissandro Martinez, one of the most consistent performers, centre back, leave. Onana has left as well, the keeper. He's gone to another club. Like, how many more players can you physically take off him? They're just going to have, like, the B team left. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't blame Ajax at all for being in this position and just saying, like, look, like, it's basically like you've got your last kind of cherry drop in the pack or whatever kind of sweets you like. And you're like, mate, I really want this sweet. And they're like, yeah, but we'll give you a decent amount of money for it. I was like, I know what you're saying, but like, it's the last one. I really want it, and I don't. Do you know what I mean? So you can't try haggle with that. I don't think. They're certainly gonna try because it's Manchester United. They'll try putting 50 mil or whatever. But if I am Ajax myself, personally, I'm standing strong on it because he's a very talented player. He's only young, 21 years old or whatever. He'll be pivotal to their season. And someone who they've just got in, I can't remember the fella's name, but if he was like a 5 mil signing or whatever, he's not going to hit the ground running straight away. He'll take time to develop himself. So you can't guarantee success from that player coming in. It's one of them. I don't blame Ajax at all. I forgot your original question, to be honest. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent.
It's all good. It's all good, mate. Don't worry about it.
I can't see the deal happening, to be honest. It'd be nice if it could because I know Erik ten Hag wants him. But still, I stand on a point. I would still rather go get a midfielder.
Yeah. Another just quick sort of comment from Ashley there. Antony's a future great. He has the arrogance to need to succeed at the very top level. Yeah, nobody's arguing with his ability and how good he could be. I think we're just sort of questioning whether he'd be let go at this point in the season. Like Nick mentioned, they've had so many players stolen. Well, not stolen, but taken from them. Stolen, yeah. Like they've not been paid millions.
Grab them back in a duffel bag and fucking Mazraoui.
Let's go. You will say nothing, and then just stuff him back to Munich. Shreyas, just your thoughts on it, really. Just like obviously Nick thinks it's not going to happen, but obviously with his replacement coming in, I think we're still going for midfielders regardless. Obviously, Nick says he'd rather spend on midfield. I think we're going to get midfield regardless. Do you think if Ajax were to come down on the price, United might come in and try and sort of prize him away?
I think if they do, slash down the price a bit, United could move in for it because the only reason I would say that this deal is actually, getting a bit of interaction or bit of traction, I would say, is because one, that Antony actually wants to come. Second, Ten Hag actually wants him to come as well, because I think he's also seen that, if there are basically, in that squad, I would say just two positions right now that are actually, giving us I would say a bit of question marks, and one has to definitely be the midfielder position, and the second has to be one winger, because in this entire preseason, I would say uh, one midfielder is one of the spots where we've seen that one is working well, one is playing at least a bit decent, but the other is just not able to keep up with it. And even in the winger position, I would say that Sancho has been absolutely amazing. Elanga hasn't really, impressed me that much. Rashford, I would say, he's still actually getting his confidence back. He scored a couple of goals, but he hasn't, done something where like you see Sancho playing and you say that, he's looking really, really sharp. He's looking really, really electric. You can't say that for Rashford. And because of that, I still think that, he's looking to actually get a winger in, and Antony could be that potential winger for us. I think that, if Ajax are able to slash it down to 45 or 50 million, I think definitely the deal could happen.
What happens to Sancho then, though, Shreyas, do you think? Because I really like him on the right-hand side with Dalot. I'm not saying Antony can't kind of strike a partnership with him as well, but I just see him blossoming so well on that right-hand side. I wouldn't want to take him off there. And I don't know if Antony can play on the left or not. I'm not entirely sure.
To be really, really, really honest, I think as far as we've seen Sancho, the only thing I would say that, that concerns him is we are able to actually give him the ball. As far as I've seen in this preseason, because
anywhere in the final third, just give it him.
Exactly. Even if he's on the left wing, if he's on the right wing, he just needs the ball. He just needs some time on the ball.
Yeah.
If he gets that, he's gonna actually produce a lot.
With Antony, I think we've seen with Sancho though, the reason he's been so great is because we've finally got full backs who are overlapping, underlaps, putting like presses on and passes. So like Dalot, he didn't have that last season. Sancho, he was literally being given the ball and it's like make something out of nothing. Yeah. Whereas he's got runners now, he's got overlaps going, he's got all this sort of stuff around him, which make it, you should see how good he is. I think Sancho works with people around him. If he's got guys and runners around him, he works, because it's not that he's slow, but he's not a run at people.
He's not got that pace, which
he's
like
not Raheem Sterling. Basically.
Yeah.
But I think Antony's that player, isn't he? Antony's that skillful, quick winger, run at people. He's a different type. So I think he would come in and be an option. So if Ten Hag wanted to change the system slightly and wanted a different sort of dynamic, or bring him on in 20 minutes if he played against a low block team, tire him out and stuff like that. So I think it might be an option. I don't think he'd be competing for Sancho's position first team. I think he'd be an option, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, another thing why Sancho has been so well is that, this is the first time in years that, we're seeing Manchester United actually build up the play for once. Because last season, I think, and even the season before that, it was always that, we were hitting, whenever we were scoring goals, it used to happen within 1 minute or 1 minute 30 seconds. We used to be so fast because we always used to hit teams on the counter. We were never that kind of team that, dominated possession, used to play out the ball from the back, used to pass and move, and then score a goal. This is the first time we are seeing it happening. And Sancho used to play the same way when he was at Dortmund. So now he's actually, showing what he's capable of. With Antony, I would say that, he can actually play off both wings. And the reason is why he can actually play off both wings is he isn't, when he is skillful, he's got a good shot on him as well. He's really fast. But he isn't one of those players that, is simply going to go for a goal when he's around the edge of the box. He's first, looking for that cross. And that's why I think Sancho as well as Antony, you play him off either wings, they're going to score. They're going to be really, really impressive because they're really, really creative. And whoever is going to be the striker in between them, I think he'll have a hell of a game every single time they're given the ball, because he's going to have loads and loads of chances when you've got two creative wingers of such high quality playing alongside you.
And Ag likes his inverted wingers as well, doesn't he? So I imagine if he did come in, Antony would definitely be on the right. He'd have Sancho on the left-hand side, Sancho and Malacia Antony and Dalot, working it like that. Just one more thing I want to very quickly add in. I had like a bit of a back and forth with someone from United Stand on Twitter about this. If Antony was to come in, would that upset the balance or whatever? And they was basically saying that Sancho and Antony couldn't play because there's not enough pace, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I then said, well, you bring Antony into it. If you look at the speeds that he's clocked in Champions League, he's still very, very quick and he's explosive as well. Sancho's not, by any stretch of imagination, really slow. He's not top-level speed like a Rashford Sterling, but he's not far away from that. And also, when we got beat by City last season, sorry to remind you a lot of that, they had Foden, Grealish and Mahrez.
Sorry, what happened? We had a season last season, did we? I've blanked out on my memory. It's gone. Don't exist.
Everyone's forgot. Yeah, that doesn't exist.
It's in the ether. It's just gone away.
Yeah, they had Foden, Mahrez and Jack Grealish, which none of them are super speeder. No. But it just depends on the system, how well you keep the ball, what your runners are like, if they drop in good, if you're running behind.
That's
good,
what I was saying.
In the angles, like
I was saying about Dalot, like Sancho has looked levels above last season because he's got runner. He's got runner for he's willing to do stuff. He didn't have that last season because that's just not the way it happened. Just before you go on, there's a few comments in the chat. Ashley Dalot, Antony will be a Man United player, but it will not happen this transfer window. I'm sure there's a mutual agreement between Antony and Erik ten Hag, which is why he won't join any team this season. Flex Felix is back in the chat. What's up, mate? Nice to see you.
Yes,
Sancho has to stay on the right wing for me. Antony could come in as competition up, but it's a left wing we should be looking for if Martial is to be used as a striker. That's what Nick was saying. And then John Trigger, watching you in Zambia. Big up to Zambia. We've got fans all over the world, mate.
Zambia.
Loving it.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, continue, Nick. Whatever you were saying.
No, I was like, I don't get how it upset the balance because I think the way Martial's playing at the minute, if you can get Antony on the right hand side or Sancho on the right hand side, Antony on the left, whatever, that front three would be even better with Rashford out of it. Like it would be so tricky. You've got a defence coming up against that. You'd have Martial drop in, linking play with everyone. They can both run in behind. They can both 1v1 really good. That's their main kind of asset. Sancho, as we know, 1v1 dribbling as good as anyone in the Premier League, and Antony 1v1 dribbling, I would say as well as good as anyone in Europe. So that would be a serious problem, and it all comes back to the thing I constantly say about us last season or under Ole. We always had that one dynamic on the left-hand side. That, like, if you shut that out, that's it, we're done. We don't have any other threats. We had Wan-Bissaka and Lingard on the right-hand side, which was just non-existent. They never used to underlap or overlap, so you get no option from there. The midfield's useless, so it was just the left-hand side. You shut that out, we're done. You bring Antony, Sancho, Martial, De Jong, and then Eriksen into there, you're gonna have problems everywhere, mate. You can't go anywhere without someone. And then you've got Lisandro, one of the best ball-playing centre-backs in Europe, coming into it as well, who's pushing up on the halfway line, dictating play and stuff. So you have an absolute nightmare. And that's why City is so good, because they have problems everywhere on the pitch. If we can do that, then our attacking phases will be so much better.
Yeah, I think that's what I've been saying for months now. It feels like my catchphrase. I've robbed it from Steve House, and it's just like you look at like Liverpool or you look at City, and it's just like, right, if we just mark out De Bruyne, that we can sort it down. Yeah, but what about Bernardo Silva? Oh, fuck's sake! All right, you take him, I'll take De Bruyne. Yeah, but what about Mahrez? Oh, for fuck's sake! Like, there's too many players to, like, if you've shut down 4 of them, there's still 3 more who are going to kill you. So that's what United need. We need options, and I think if Antony was to come in, we have options, we have competition for places, which United never had. Like under Ollie, it was the same 11. You could pretty much, every week you knew who was going to play. It's going to be Maguire, Lindelof.
And players like Dan James as well.
Yeah, it's going to be Maguire, Lindelof. It's going to be Luke Shaw. It's going to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's going to be McFred, Bruno. And that's, you knew it. And there was every opposition team is just going to go, well, we know what team we're playing. Yeah. So it's so easy.
You know that scene in Avengers where it's like Avengers, and then you start going out the orange circles. We'll have like Sancho, Antony, Lisandro, fucking Eriksen, right?
Exactly.
Deal with that, mate. Deal with that.
Like, obviously, we're not going to be on the level that City are on. Like, they're able to spend money like it's going out of fashion. We're not on that thing, but they've got a world-class player for every single position. Like, bar none. We're not going to be able to do that. So what I think Ten Hag wants to do is find these, like what you said, diamonds in the rough, and develop them. So then we do have two very good players in each position, and I think that's
long-term project, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what happened with Malacia. He's brought him in. He's going to develop him into competition for Luke Shaw, because I think he thinks he can get something out of Luke Shaw. He's obviously I think the rumors are he's looking at a right back, because I think he's looked at Dalot, thinks I can develop him, but Wan-Bissaka is not going to cut it. So I think he wants to bring in a right back to compete with him. He brought in Eriksen, who's going to be your competition for Bruno, two world-class players. You bring in Antony as your competition for Sancho. You bring in a striker, you got Martial and whatever strike. Like, obviously, not all of these are going to happen in one transfer window. It's going to be a few windows it's going to take. But I think that's what he's trying to do, because that's what modern-day squads have. They have options that are just as good as the first-team players. Like, there's no such thing as a first-team 11 anymore. It's a squad. There's a squad game now. Like, you have to have very good, if not world-class players in every position twice, or youth players that you develop into that point. I've gone off topic there a little bit. Shreyas, like, if we were to say we bid for Antony, do you think that sort of lessons are sort of willing to go out and get another midfielder? Obviously, if Jong comes in, I think he's the main target. But if we got Jong in and then we got Antony, do you think that's it? We're not getting a midfielder?
I think if we're able to do the Antony deal a bit early, we could still go in for a midfielder, because I think Ten Hag has made it pretty clear that even if De Jong doesn't come, he still wants a midfielder, which is pretty evident, and we've seen on the pitch. We've seen it on the pitch as well why he actually wants a midfielder. So I do get the idea of it, but I would still say that, if we can end this Antony deal within a week or so, I think we should still go for it, because I just have a gut feeling that, if we don't go in for Antony or another winger, I think maybe Christian Eriksen could be used off as a left winger. Just a gut feeling, because we've seen it with Tadic at Ajax as well, that
Bruno can play there as well.
Exactly. So I think in one way or the other, Eriksen and Bruno could be occupying one of the two attacking slots. And except that, I think the only reason why the Antony deal could make us actually not get a midfielder would again only be that if United haven't really worked on an alternative for Frenkie de Jong, because if they have worked out for an alternative for Frenkie de Jong, then I do see a midfielder still coming in, even if we get the Antony deal done. If it doesn't happen, then it clearly means that United weren't planning for another alternative to Frenkie de Jong, because Antony would still easily cost us 50 million. De Jong's price is pretty much set at 85 million. So, and we pretty much, I think we've just got 120 million or 110 million left in the bank in this window now. So, if we do, it's pretty much, we'll be left with about 60 million or 55 million if we go in for Antony. Mm-hmm. So, it would be tough to
if we sell people though, that obviously could be sold. So if we could sell Phil Jones, Eric Bailly, somebody like that.
Eric Bailly, I think
Telles.
There are a lot of options. Yeah, Telles as well. There are options for us to sell. And we could actually, even if we, just sell Phil Jones, Eric Bailly and Telles, I think we could still raise about 20 million from them easily. And I think that 20 million pretty much covers both the deals, because we've got 110 million left in the bank. Antony would cost about 50, I would say. And Frenkie de Jong would cost about 85. So we are 25 million short. If we, get these guys out, probably raise even 20 million, we save 5 million just on wages. So the deal could happen if we are, able to be more active in the transfer window, get rid of these players, clear out some wages. I could still see both deals happening in that way, but I really don't think that, United are potentially, worked on a deal to actually get these players offloaded. Except Andreas Pereira, I haven't seen anyone linked with Telles, linked with Eric Bailly, linked with Phil Jones as well.
Yeah.
So,
have you seen Ajax won Ethan Laird?
I'm not sure if
you've seen that. No, they want to buy him.
Really?
I don't know if it's to replace Mazraoui or anything like that, but Yeah, you could. It's something you could do there potentially to take a player there, but it depends how much trust they've got in Ethan Laird if they want to keep hold of him, develop him. I'm not sure, but they need to start looking at deals like that. I don't get why we don't. It always comes back to us being astute in the market, and we're shit in the market. We're really, really terrible. So
we could actually, sell Van Bissaka for about 25 million himself. So
well, like this, there is a comment in the chat. Flex Felix, Jones, Bailly, Williams, Bissaka, Twanzebe could fetch up to 30 mil. So
yeah, easily. Yeah. And I think Van Bissaka himself would be worth at least 20 to 25 million.
Yeah.
And Williams is still pretty young, so he could actually, go in for about 10 to 15. Twanzebe could actually go in for about 10 as well. So I think just these three players would raise about 35 million or so. Telles can actually go in for about, we signed Telles for 15. He could pretty much go for 15 again, or even more than that. So we can easily raise, I would say, about 40 million or plus just by outgoings. But we aren't really working on that at the moment.
We'd probably have to sell to Premier League clubs though, because the wages we offer to them kind of players, the clubs around Europe can't afford that. That's why it's not the fact no one wants to buy him. It's the wages that come with him. Like let's say you've got a club in Europe, right? I don't know, say someone like Stuttgart in Germany, or maybe like Rome or Jose Mourinho, and you say to him, "Oh, we want to buy Phil Jones. We'll give you 5 mil plus 3 mil add-ons or whatever," right? United fans will probably take that because it's extra money to put into the thing. Then they go, "Right, well, how much is he on?" And you go,
140k a week.
you go like that in the boardroom. You go 125k. And you go, what?
Was that 25k?
125k, 125,000. That's how much you're paying him, and he's played twice in about 3 years. What's going on? And then that'll go on for with Eric Bailly, Twanzebe. We pay ridiculous wages, so also we're desperate as well to offload players, and clubs know that, so they're like, well, they'll just treat us like a car boot sale. And like, no, we'll wait till the end of the window. If you want to sell them us for a shit price of 3 million, we'll sit here with a fucking daiquiri and wait for you.
That's also why.
Boom, there you go.
It's also probably why we're not going to get rid of De Gea, even though he's probably not the right goalkeeper for Erik ten Hag, because he's on 375,000 a week, and nobody in Europe is paying that. Nobody's giving it for him.
I think that the reason why we weren't able to actually get rid of Anthony Martial before is because the contract he was on. Because I remember that Tottenham were interested in actually bring him in at one point, but I think he was on about 220 or 250,000, which Tottenham weren't really, keen on covering. And and I mean, in a way, it's good that he didn't leave. But I still remember that even when he was trying to get that loan move deal to Sevilla, the transfer talks initially broke down because of his contract and his wages, because Sevilla weren't keen on covering the wages that he was potentially on. So. And even I think even Phil Jones is on about 120 or 130,000 a week or something like that. Even though he doesn't play for us. So, I mean, I think that we easily just save 5 million in wages itself if we get rid of players wisely.
I've got some breaking news, Sam. I'm going to let you think, but just breaking news has come out from David Ornstein. Are you ready for this?
Oh God.
Jesse Lingard joins Nottingham Forest as a free agent. 29-year-old England international has completed his medical and signed a one-year contract. Former Man United midfielder will travel with Nottingham to Germany on Friday for Saturday's friendly against Union Berlin. I'm so sorry, Nottingham Forest fans, but you've got yourself
a shit?
A TikToker in the dressing room. Nah, in all seriousness, it's probably a good signing for them, but yeah.
Anyway. Let's move on to important things.
Jesus.
Yeah, right. One last question, and we'll wrap it up and we'll go home. Who do you think keep your answers as short as possible? Who do you think is coming in before the end of the window? Not like players specifically, but like positions. Is it going to be 2, 3? Who do you think, Nick?
Ooh. I'll let Shreyas go first.
All right,
I want to think. I'll put the heat on Shreyas. 1.
You only think we're getting... So what position? Jong, midfield?
I think it either De Jong or Antony, just one.
Just the one. Wow.
Yeah. I don't see us pulling 2.
Interesting.
I think we get 2. I think we get De Jong, and then we get... think we might get a striker. I think like Belotti or something on a free. I think something.
Fuck Belotti. I do not want Belotti.
No, I don't want him either.
Belotti,
I don't want him either. But I think that's a United type signing, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, it definitely is something like that. But I think he was negotiating with Atalanta or someone like that in the Serie A itself, because he didn't want to leave Italy.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
send in there.
Before I'll give you a bit more time. Flex Felix, 200k per week. I don't know who that referring to. Anyway,
I think for the Martial contract.
Lewis
200k.
Lewis Jackson in the chat. What's up, Lewis? How's it going, mate? Great signing for them. What, Lingard? Are you having a laugh?
Lingard.
I hope he's taking a piss.
No, it's good for Nottingham.
Nottingham.
It is.
Oh, Nottingham. Flex Felix. Nottingham are paying him 200k a week.
Yeah.
Jesus. West Ham offered him
a year contract.
West Ham offered him 150 and he turned it down. That's ridiculous. That's insane.
But that's worrying. A year contract, which shows he's just going there. You go, you're going to offer me 200k? Yeah, I'll join for a year. No worries. Even if I play shit, I'm still on 200k a week, and then I can just go to another club.
Still, I think it's a pretty dicey contract for him. Considering the position that he's in his career right now, I think it's a pretty dicey contract to actually go for one. And I predict that he'll have less goal and assist than what James Garner did last season for them.
Probably.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Go on, Nick.
Back to the question before. I think we're going to sign De Jong, and I think we're going to sign a right back as well. I think it's going to be either Denzel Dumfries. Yeah. I think it's going to be Dumfries or maybe someone, a quiet one, maybe another one from the Eredivisie. Who did you say then, Shreyas?
Nobody.
McTominay, you say?
Hakimi.
Hakimi, no. Not a chance that they forking out fucking 80 million for him. No chance. But yeah, I think two, Sam. I think we'll sign two.
All right, we'll come back to this clip on the 2nd of September. Let's see who's right. I'm hoping we're all wrong and we get like 3, but I'm not holding my hopes up for Manchester United at the minute.
In September, Sam will still be dealing with De Jong.
Oh, Jesus
next transfer window.
Fucking midnight transfer deadline day for De Jong.
De Jong at the age of 65 has finally signed on a pensioner's contract.
He's gonna be
a coach.
He's gonna be the next Wesley Sneijder, isn't it? This is what's gonna happen every year.
I'm done with it. Honestly, Sam, I'm fucking done with it, man.
Jesus
like I just can't be arsed with it anymore. If he signs, he signs. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Like just crack on.
United know how to suck the fun out of every transfer window, don't they? Fucking damn.
Yeah.
Anyways. Thank you everybody for watching, listening, whatever you're doing, how you're viewing us right now on YouTube. We appreciate all the support. Thank you for everybody in the chat. It was lovely to interact with you, and thanks for all the questions, comments, all that stuff. We appreciate it every time. Nick, do you want to go through what's happening later on tonight?
Yeah, oh wow, I absolutely forgot about that. So in about an hour and a half time, something like that, regulars who watch it will know. It's the return of Eric Ten Bag career mode. It's the best career mode you've ever seen in your life. You've got whiskey, you've got karaoke, you've got shitloads of banter and
impressions.
Laughs. And it's about 2 hours of just chilled, relaxed FIFA. Me and Adam, Irish lad who's on the channel for anyone who isn't familiar with Adam, on a career mode, realistic career mode, signing the players that we've actually got, and going through it on world class. So it's very fun, very chilled.
Another thing that you've got on that career mode is Darwin Núñez. If anyone wanted to see him in a United shirt,
I forgot about that. We've got the Uruguayan Andy Carroll in our team. Darwin Núñez. I'm going to see if I could change his name to Núñez.
Just sell him. Sell him in January.
He's getting sold in January. Don't worry about that. We'll bring in some more realistic ones.
Yeah, we're actually surprised we haven't been cancelled yet because the chat that goes on in there. So if you... Only come if you're willing to listen to unfiltered chat.
Dark sense of humour.
Yeah, because if you're easily offended, probably not for you. But it's fun. It's fun to come and join us. So if you see our lovely new graphic below us there, it's got all our socials nice and displayed for you. So we're on TikTok, we're on Twitch at Real Reds Gaming. So we do lots of non-football related games. Assassin's Creed for me. Shreyas does a lot of PUBG. Adam's done some COD on there. It's Call of Duty Warzone.
PUBG King.
Yeah, so go check that out. Subscribe to that. TikTok, Nick runs that. Nice little bit of funny clips from these shows. And then some stuff where he just dicks about and he makes a laugh out of stuff, which is always good because there's some of them are getting numbers as well, like especially ones that feature Fabrizio Romano. So go check that out. Twitter is run by Shreyas and Dan, who's the other lad who's on the channel, for your hourly, sometimes minute by minute news updates. You want all your transfer news, you want all your team news, and any links to all the shows that we do, go check that out. And then the Instagram, which is run by me and Nick, really. All the sort of graphics that you'll see coming up for shows that are going to come up, any sort of news tidbits, reels, all the good stuff. So go follow all of those or subscribe to all of those. Appreciate all the support. Like this video if you haven't liked it already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We had, I think, like 20 odd people in the chat today, so if you've not all subscribed, please do. It helps us out. We're trying to get to 250 before the end of the season, before the beginning of the season. So end of the season, Jesus Christ, beginning of the season. So yeah, if you could help us out to that goal, we appreciate it. Obviously, you see the lovely new graphic that we've got now. We're just going to keep improving. It's going to keep getting better. We're going to keep getting more stuff to improve it for you guys, to make it look better, to make it feel better, all that good stuff. Am I forgetting anything?
No, we're going to take it to the fucking metaverse, baby. That's where we're going to go.
Virtual reality.
Yeah, you'll be in a room with us in a year's time.
You might not want that. It's a bit disturbing.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody for watching. Appreciate it, and we'll see you later.
Cheers, guys. Bye.